One of the most common questions that people who live in an RV or a van or a tiny house full time and travel a lot get asked, and you don't have to be on YouTube or anything like that. Like, I'm a nobody, right? But I know that there's a lot of people on YouTube who get asked in the comments because I see it all the time. You don't have to be like a web designer or running your own business or whatever. There's a lot of ways to do the RV lifestyle. The way I got in was with Amazon. Now, without going into all the details, like I have videos for that happened at the time. The short version is I was picked up by Amazon through a program that they had at the time called the Camper Program, and I believe it's still active. While I was with Amazon, I kind of came up with my own secondary way, but they facilitate it. And as far as I know, I'm the only person who did this, and now that I'm not with the company, I have no qualms about sharing it. Now, just to get this out of the way, if you came here because you wanted to hear somebody badmouth Amazon, that's not what this is going to be at all. Amazon took very good care of me, and I don't care what they say in the news. I've met the people who've been let go on a lot of instances, and typically they're the type of people who wanted to be handed a paycheck rather than earn one. Now, I'll tell you what happened with me at Amazon as a seasonal going to full-time is not the norm. It's an exception, but it is a possibility. So look for Camper Force if that interests you. What they do is they pay for your campsite, and then you work at Amazon for the season. And just for clarification, I want to make sure that if you decide to do Camper Force, you understand that it's an entry-level job. You will be packing boxes, unloading trucks, picking stuff off shelves. It's going to be an entry-level job. You're not going to be doing something like IT or HR or managing. You're a seasonal hire. So Amazon will hire pretty much anybody into this program. You don't need a degree. You don't need anything like that. It's entry level. So if you're just looking for work as a way to facilitate travel, it's a pretty cool way to get into the RV lifestyle. I just want to reiterate though that what happened with me is not the norm at all. It is very difficult to get converted full-time from being a seasonal hire with the Camper Force. In regards to what I figured out, Amazon, if you are a level 3 or above, will pay for your moves. Now, it's much more difficult to move at level 3. Level 4 is an entry-level manager, requires a degree, or I think it's like 3 years of in-industry experience. Now, there's nothing particularly special to the RV world about getting hired on as a manager with Amazon. In fact, don't even expect any sort of treatment in that regard. You're a manager, so you're going to be working 60, 70 hours a week. They're really trying to make that better, but take a step back and consider what Amazon is for a second. Amazon's business model is built on meeting online requests. They don't create the demand or the amount of work you have to do. That's created by the customers buying stuff online, which is going up every single day. So what does this have to do with living the RV lifestyle? I think it's fair to be upfront about the workload you will experience working with Amazon. They're not shy about it. They have to hire quality people. Yes, it's true that they desperately need people to meet the demand from customers, but they're not just going to hire some asshole who just dreams about traveling and is going to half-ass the job. If you're the type of person, and you've got to be honest with yourself, if you're the type of person who can work your ass off and do your minimum 50 hours a week, probably more, you're probably going to be a good fit, and you'll be well rewarded with Amazon. They pay a lot, and they pay you to move. Now, I worked with Amazon during what was probably their biggest growth period in their history to date. Worked in warehouses, worked with the driver fleet, worked with their Whole Foods teams, helped launch all that stuff. And that's really what you want to look at. If you're going to do Amazon as a manager and you want to move around, there's all kinds of options. You're not stuck with just the warehouse work. Amazon used to be limited to just the warehouses. So that perception, I think, pervades right now because people forget how much else they do. But there's also AMZL, which is those van drivers. They need managers there. And there's also the Whole Food stores running all the shoppers and stuff like that. They need managers. So when I started with Amazon, the number of locations was essentially 14 warehouses. By the time I left, I think there was over 47 different types of warehouses, almost 200 or something AMZL locations, and almost 500 Whole Foods locations. So you can move a lot. And what's great about this setup is that it's not just whenever something is opening. Every year there are manager rotations. And if this sounds familiar for ex-military folks, yeah, it's like the summer rotation for permanent duty reassignment. After peak, which is Christmas time, managers who do really well tend to move on and do other things. There's always a crazy amount of promotions. They have to move people to backfill. So it's pretty easy as even a mildly experienced L4 or L5, level 4, level 5, tier 4, tier 5 manager to move to another location, and Amazon will pay you. And the amount will vary depending on your level. The move has to be longer than 50 miles at this point in time. All those rules could change. Basically, it kind of doesn't matter what the amount is because you're living in an RV. The amount that they pay is to cover first month, last month, pet deposit, security deposits, U-Haul, transportation, lodging, food, all that stuff for your move. But if you're in an RV, you just unplug and go to the next place and pocket that. Now the amount I was paid while I was in was 10 grand per move, and I moved every 6 to 8 months. After taxes, which depends on the state that you have as your claimed residence, it was about 6,500 on average that I would just pocket from the moves. Now there are strings attached. From the time that you accept that money, you have 12 months that you have agreed to stay with Amazon. If you leave before that time, you have to pay it back. For example, when I left Amazon, I had to pay back 10 grand from a previous couple of moves. When it comes to base pay, I'm probably a terrible example of what pay is like, because my pay from the point in time that I hit L4 was heavily augmented by my stocks, which take 2 years to vest. So if you start off as a manager, your first 2 years, you'll receive stocks as part of your overall compensation package, but you will not be able to cash them out. And I realize that it may not work with the way a lot of people want their RV lifestyle to go. So if you want to move every day to a new place, then yeah, the Amazon thing isn't going to work for you. But if you want job security, benefits, all that other stuff, and paid moves where you get to do, 1 week adventure here, 1 week adventure there when you move places, and then get to sit for 6 to 8 months and really get to know a place, find a favorite pizza place or a speakeasy that you like, or a coffee hut, or get to know people there who can show you things that are not in the travel brochures. Like, it gives you time to breathe in an area and take in the same place over a period of time, to where you get to see certain festivals that if you were just passing through, you might have missed. So if any of that sounds cool to you, then check out Amazon as an option. They're a great company to work for. Having said that, I know everybody's first question is going to be, If there's such a great company to work for, why did you quit? And I think the best explanation I got was when I went and I worked at corporate for a while. The pace of orders is never going to slow down. And Amazon is not just going to hire warm bodies to put in management positions. They're looking for quality people, which means that the stress level for a manager is never going to be less. So when I said earlier, you have to know and be honest with yourself. If you don't handle stress well, Amazon isn't going to be for you. If you don't handle heavy workloads well, if you can't manage your time well, Amazon, it's not going to be for you. I left because of some advice I got when I went to corporate. They said, don't make Amazon a career. Use us to get ahead in the world. In return, we use you to help expand the company and our projects. It's a mutually agreed upon using of each other. But don't let the pace of the company burn you out. At the time, I was like, what the frick are you talking about? Last year, I got it. I was, my tank was finally empty. And there was no letting up. It's not like people are gonna order, less onion-shaped onion holders. So I left. Not on bad terms. Left on good terms with Amazon. I can go back. There's a bunch of people who would hire me right away. But whether I go back or not, I had a good experience with the company. And maybe I will go back down the road. I don't know. But taking a year-long break, not a bad idea. So that's why I left. But I will tell everybody it's a good company to work for, especially if you're an RVer and you want to move around. Take care. Love this spot.